All right, so today we're jumping into a story that starts on one of the most famous train rides in the world, but it takes a turn that no one could expect. It's about an encounter in a third-class carriage deep in Siberia that opens up a window into a world most of us will never ever see. So, let's set the scene. Imagine you're on this old-school Soviet train just chugging its way east. Our narrator is asleep, just trying to get through another long stretch of the Trans-Siberian Railway. It's all pretty routine. But then at Krasnoyarsk station, that quiet routine gets completely blown apart. It's early in the morning, and this group of about 40 Asian men gets on. And it's just chaos. They're forming a human chain, hauling all these boxes and suitcases, and basically taking over the whole carriage. Now, the narrator's first thought is, a pretty logical one. He's in Siberia, close to the border. He just figures they're Chinese villagers, maybe traders, hauling some goods back home from Russia. Makes sense, right? A simple explanation. But once he gets back to his seat and the dust settles, a really strange feeling starts to creep in. He's sitting right across from one of the men, and there's just something about him, about all of them, that feels off. The story describes it as a profoundly incomprehensible, utterly otherworldly impression. Something just doesn't compute. So he tries to make a connection. The first attempt is over a suitcase that's in the way. He uses a little bit of Mandarin he knows, shang, which just means up, trying to suggest they move a bag to the overhead rack. It's that universal kind of thing you do on a crowded train. But when he actually tries to start a conversation, he hits a total brick wall, just silence. And what's so telling here is his reaction. The silence is so absolute that he doesn't think they're being rude. He just assumes his own pronunciation must be awful. That's how complete the disconnect is. The next morning, it isn't words that finally break the silence, it's the view. The train is now running right along the edge of Lake Baikal, this huge, stunning body of water. And the sun is hitting it just right, creating what the source calls a glistening golden stripe. It's one of those moments that just makes everyone stop and stare. And that moment of awe is what does it. The man across from him speaks. Not in Chinese, but in Russian with a really heavy accent. It's just two words, but it's the very first crack in that wall of silence. And just like that, the door creaks open. The narrator says he's from Greece, which takes a minute for the man to understand, and then his travel companion reveals where he's from, with a sentence that just changes everything. I am from North Korea. And suddenly, our narrator realizes he's sharing a train car with dozens of people he never in a million years thought he would meet. So, over the next few days, they start to build this fragile, secret way of communicating. They have to get creative. They're using the man's very basic Russian, a tiny little Korean-Russian dictionary he keeps hidden in his jacket, and whenever they can get a cell signal, Google Translate on the narrator's phone. And here's why it had to be so secret. This was incredibly dangerous. The man explains that there's an informant, a snitch, somewhere in their group. No one knows who it is, but they all know someone is watching, ready to report any reactionary behavior, which could be something as simple as talking too freely with a foreigner. Through this risky, pieced-together conversation, the grim reality of their lives starts to come out. They're in Russia for these state-organized work contracts, anywhere from 2 months to a full year. They work on these huge construction sites, and the hours, well, they're just brutal. We're talking 17 to 20 hours a day, 7 days a week.
And for all that back-breaking labor, what do they earn? The grand total for a full day's work is the equivalent of just $7 US. $7.
But even that doesn't tell the whole story. As this breakdown shows, of that $7, the worker himself only gets to keep half. The other $3.50 goes straight to the North Korean government. He knows it's a humiliating wage, but he says it's the only way he can earn any money for his family back home. At one point, he very carefully, very secretly, shows the narrator a photo of his wife and 2 daughters. They're posing under a portrait of Kim Jong-un. And you realize, this isn't just a treasured picture, it's a reminder of the state's control. Their families are basically being held as pawns to make sure no one even dreams of trying to escape. On their last evening together on the train, a new passenger gets on. It's a young woman, and as she and the narrator talk, it turns out she's from South Korea. So the narrator thinks, hey, maybe they can actually talk to each other, and suggests the North Korean man go say hello. But the man's reaction is just one of pure, absolute fear. No, I must not talk to her. That would be very wrong. And the reason he gives? He points to one word in his notebook, ideology. That fearful reaction is the trigger. After days of these cautious, guarded conversations, the narrator finally asks the most direct question of all. What do you really think about that ideology? What do you think about your country's regime?
And the answer is the climax of this whole encounter. The man doesn't say a word. He just furtively passes his notebook over, and on the page are these 5 words, a stark, silent confession of his reality. Poverty, repression, fear, violence, injustice.
But there's more. Written below that devastating list is a single, complete sentence, a desperate plea written just for this stranger's eyes. You must help. Your country must help. The world must help.
They just look at each other, with the weight of that silent message hanging between them in the little train compartment. They say goodnight, assuming they'll see each other in Vladivostok in the morning. But when the narrator wakes up a few hours later, they're gone. Every single one of them. Vanished.
They never made it to their final stop. The entire group was just taken off the train at some random, obscure station in the dead of night. Their departure was just as sudden and just as mysterious as their arrival had been.
And that's how it ends. No goodbye, just the lingering weight of that plea in the notebook. And it really leaves you with a haunting question, doesn't it? For every one story like this that somehow gets told, how many others just disappear into the night completely unheard?